And so of all the physiques to choose from, of all the guys out there, the man that I believe most represents classic physique right now is C-Bums retired, and next year we're crowning a brand new Mr. Olympia. And so who is that going to be? And so of all the physiques to choose from, of all the guys out there, the man that I believe most represents classic physique right now is Ramon Dino. Did you think I was going to say Ramon Dino? I'm betting that you didn't. Here's the thing. Classic physique needs to distinguish itself from bodybuilding. Yeah, we get it. There's a lot of great bodybuilders in the classic physique division. Guys like guys like Mike Sommerfeld. But my personal opinion is, as great as these guys are, they are amazing bodybuilders. And what does that mean? Bodybuilding is about size, shape, and conditioning. The 3 S's. And so when we establish classic physique, I believe it should stand out as something else. We already have open bodybuilding and we already have the 212. Those are for bodybuilders. But in classic physique, it has to stand for something else. Something slightly different. And over the years, let me know if you agree with this. The sport has continued to evolve. They began with bodybuilding and added other categories. And why did they do that? Because they didn't want to just reward the biggest bodybuilders, the guys with the most muscle, conditioning, and so on. And so they created several divisions to get away from that. They added in men's physique for smaller competitors, small waists, great shape, conditioning, and then later they added classic physique. The same thing except without the board shorts. Guys who want an aesthetic physique. Guys who wanted to chase the aesthetics and have a certain look. Not the biggest bodies, but perhaps the best. The ones that the most men would aspire to achieve. And so what happens every single year? Every year, the guys keep getting bigger. And why does that happen? Because the judges reward it. Think of it. If they keep rewarding the biggest bodies, the most shredded and so on, the competitors are going to continue to chase that. Who placed second this year? Mike Sommerfeld. Mike has an amazing physique. Small waist, massive quads, a huge thick back. But he looks like a bodybuilder. And so if I were to survey all the men of the world and said, which physique would you most aspire to look like? We have Mike Sommerfeld and we have Ramon Dino. Some are going to choose Mike Sommerfeld. Most of the bodybuilders, guys who are chasing the size, who want the freakiest physique, they're going to choose Mike Sommerfeld. But the rest of the guys, they're saying Ramon Dino. That physique is truly remarkable. In my opinion, it's even too big. But what has the classic physique done? They've raised the weight classes. They've done the opposite of what I think they should be doing. And what do you think the athletes are now doing? They're taking more and more performance-enhancing drugs. And why? Because they need to get bigger. And so Ramon Dino, in comparison to Mike Sommerfeld, he's not big enough. Ramon Dino can still improve. He needs to take advantage of every pound that he can get. He needs to understand that they're looking for the size and the crazy conditioning. And so if I were his coach, this is what I would tell him to do. You need to put on more size. He weighed in at 225 pounds. The weight cap is 227. What he needs to do is barely make the weight class. He needs to show up at 227. And once he weighs in, he has 24 hours to put on all of that weight. And so consider the guys in the UFC, boxing, and so on. Do you think that they show up a couple pounds under the weight class? And do you not think that Ramon Dino has already been carbing up? These guys, they start carbing up for days before the event. When coaching an athlete such as this, you want them to barely scrape into the weight class. If his weight class is 227, I want him to be 235 plus the day before. I don't want him 1 or 2 pounds over the weight. I want him to suffer. I want him to barely squeak in. Hey, guess what? You're weighing in today. What do I eat? What's on the plan? Nothing. What about water? Nope, it's not on the plan. You're going to weigh in, and you're going to look like death. When I weighed in for my last competition, I was nearly falling over. I stood on the weight class, almost passed out. That is the level of suffering that's required to be at the best. If you show up with a big fat smile on your face, feeling great, couple pounds under the weight class, that's a couple pounds of muscle that you lost out to Mike Sommerfeld. And so Ramon Dino needs to put on 10 pounds of muscle. You're thinking, no, it's just 2. He was 225, it could be 227. Did he weigh in without any clothes? And so imagine he puts on 10 pounds of muscle. He's now 235. He gets down in weight. He doesn't drink any water. He's not eating any carbs. He's completely flat. Not flat like Chris Bumstead, but actually flat. There's zero glycogen in his body. He hasn't carved up whatsoever. He walks in, weighs in 227, and immediately after, he starts to then rehydrate. Add in the carbs and water, and he then gains weight leading into the next day. And so he weighs in at 227, but he grows into the show once he starts to carb up. And by the time he sets foot on stage, he's much bigger. In comparison, Ramon Dino weighs in at about 225, and I bet he then loses more weight. And if you're saying, no, he gains more weight, well, why was he 225? Why was he ever at 225 if he competed at over 227 on stage? I'm telling you why. He doesn't. I've competed more times on stage myself than every single one of these competitors has in their lifetime. And so Ramon Dino can do it, but he needs to stop taking time off. Oh, Ramon Dino didn't win the Arnold's, Coach Greg, because he took 6 weeks off. You think you're doing him a favor by telling me he took 6 weeks off? Oh, I'm just not going to train. How's it working for him? Those 6 weeks, perhaps he could have been training. Then maybe he would have showed up at 227. Not to mention, was Ramon Dino the leanest guy in the competition? Nope. Did you not see this man sweating profusely on stage? His tan literally melting away from him like Frosty the Snowman. And so what Ramon Dino needs to do is to truly bring it. Not bring 80 or 90%, 110%, 10% leaner than he's ever been. He needs to come in at sub 4% body fat. He needs to have 10 pounds more muscle and then shock the world. This is Ramon Dino 2.0. He needs more muscle and more conditioning if he has a chance to upset Mike Sommerfeld. Remember, Mike Sommerfeld already has all the muscle. He can't gain more muscle. He's not going to get more conditioning. This is what he can do. He's already showed you his A game. He regained 10 pounds of muscle this year. But Ramon Dino, he needs to get better. This is not his all-time best. He can, in fact, do better. Now, you have to give him props. He did, in fact, improve his posing. He's finally raised the biceps higher than the deltoids, and it's made a significant difference in his physique. And so the physique he has is very aesthetic, and it is very classic looking, and is the kind of physique that many men would aspire to have. But if he doesn't add more size, if he doesn't add more conditioning, Mike Sommerfeld is going to walk away with it. He already has the bodybuilder look, which seems to be what they're going for. And year after year, they keep going for more size. Not what I'm in favor of, but hey, it is what it is. And so Ramon Dino pushing the envelope, more size, more conditioning, and forget making weight by 2 pounds. This is ridiculous. I do believe he should be the next one to win the title. Now remember, my advice to the Olympia, the Arnolds, is to add another category. Classic physique with lower weight class limits, perhaps 20 pounds, perhaps only 15. You had another category for slightly smaller competitors. Guys with very aesthetic, classic-looking physiques, like One Punch Man Nile. Guy finished in 11th, 9 pounds under the weight class. And so if we have slightly smaller physiques with all the aesthetics, less side requiring less performance-enhancing drugs, would that not be something good for the sport? And so rather than pushing more and more size every single year, why don't we add lighter weight class limits so that the athletes can come in smaller? And of course, you guessed it, of course he needs to use Turk Builder and GO2 Max. How could you not? A guy at this level not using Turk Builder and GO2 Max, which has proven testosterone from Uzbekistan, it literally has a money back guarantee. And so if you're interested in a deal, code Greg 15% off. Click the link in the description. Let me know in the comments section. Who is going to come out on top? As it stands right now, it's Mike Sommerfeld against the field. Mike Sommerfeld lost to Chris Bumstead this year in a split decision. And so can anyone dethrone him? And so unless the standards change where they're not looking for the most size, shape, and conditioning, I don't see how he's going to lose. But I'll be rooting for other competitives to bring their best and their A game. If Ramon Dino can bring in more size and more conditioning, I do believe he can come out on top. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment to boost the algorithm. Please like this video if you liked it. Watch one of those two bloops. And of course, for cookbooks, training books, coaching plans by me and my team, the Harder Than Last Time clothing line. You get it all on the website. If you got no money, get the free diet and training program. It's close to 50 pages. And until next time, I am out.